up, y'all? This is Daniel with Pride of the Southland Kennels, coming back with another video today. Obviously following up the DNA test results that we shared with our black American Bulldogs. Already, like I said in the last video, I'm going to have people saying they don't believe in this, they don't believe in that, the DNA test results are a scam. The big thing is, when we're talking about the black American Bulldogs, is a lot of people know that they were crossed. That's the truth. Not all black American Bulldogs resulted from those crosses. There's others out there. We have one in particular on our yard that doesn't have any breedings of that cross. So I'm not going to talk and explain how those black Bulldogs and those crosses were made. You can go check out some of my other videos. I talk about it in several. So already got people saying this and that, you know, how are you going to say those dogs are mixed and then come back and say they're pure now? Well, two things. Number one is, I never said that my dogs were mixed. I said that there was a cross done, or two crosses made back in the early to mid 90s. I want to think Mr. Matthews told me that was around 95. So let's say mid 90s. That's 26 years, almost 27 years ago. So there's plenty of other people out there that could probably break this down better for you, but to me, this is the concept of this is fairly simple. So I wanted to share it with you, because I don't know whether these people are just trolling or if they just really don't understand how this works. So I learned this in biology in 10th grade. That was one of my favorite subjects. That's one of the things that stuck with me, was the Punnett squares and things like that when you're talking about DNA and traits. So for the purposes of this video, we're going to say we have a male dog over here that's a 100% American Bulldog. And I'm sorry for my presentation, I don't have a big, fine, nice, dry erase board, but I want to get this out there. So we have a male dog, 100% American Bulldog, female dog, so that this makes sense in context, 50% American Bulldog, 50% American Pit Bull Terrier. They get together, they have one pup. Or we're going to use one of their pups, for example. So this offspring is going to get 50% of its DNA from the sire, which is 100% Bulldog. So if both of these dogs up here are already genetically tested, this one says 100% American Bulldog, this one's 50-50, AB, APBT. We know that 50% of this offspring's DNA is going to be American Bulldog, because his father, his sire, is 100% American Bulldog. So he's at least going to be, or she is at least going to be 50% American Bulldog. Now what we don't know on this other side with the female or the mother is what DNA is passed on. Now this pup's going to get 50% of his DNA from his mom. It's possible, but highly unlikely, but it is possible, that the 50% of the DNA comes from the American Bulldog. If that's the case, even though you have an American Pit Bull Terrier in the mix, where most people will look at a pedigree and say, well, that dog's 75% American Bulldog, 25% American Pit Bull Terrier, just because there was a 50-50 cross. That's an average of it. Doesn't mean it's true. It could be lower, it could be higher. So we could possibly come out of this breeding with a 100% American Bulldog. Highly, highly unlikely, but theoretically possible. I'm not saying it's happened. I'm not saying it's likely to happen. I'm saying it's possible, because this dog does have 50% DNA. It could pull, the pup could pull all 50% of the mother's DNA from the American Bulldog side. It's not sliced up in one half. It's just spread out all about, you know. Or on the other hand, we could get all 50% from the American Pit Bull Terrier and be left with a 50% American Bulldog, 50% American Pit Bull Terrier. Or, like people say on paper, another outcome or an average would be 75% American Bulldog, 25% American Pit Bull Terrier. The main thing is, we do not know until we test these dogs. After 30 years of breeding, back to Bulldogs. You know, matter of fact, that the cross was made in the mid-90s. They bred them for 6 to 8 years is what Don Matthews says before they registered them. And then they only registered them back to, or they only bred them back to American Bulldogs. So if you bred a dog from each generation at the 2-year mark, which some people breed before 2 years, but let's just say 2 years to keep it simple, in 25 years, let's round that up to 26, because we're approaching 26 years. If we're not already there, it is 2021, and I believe he said this breeding happened in 1995. That's 13 generations. You're telling me that you don't think it's theoretically possible to get 100% American Bulldog out of those dogs and breed out the American Pit Bull Terrier? They also added Amstaff. That was a one breeding of each. It was a Pit Bull bred to a Bulldog and an Amstaff bred to a Bulldog, and then those offspring were bred back to Bulldogs. So I hope this helps you out. Before I made this video, I talked to 2 people that I feel like were qualified to answer the question. Both of them in dogs. One of them a biology professor. One of them works closely with vets. He's did a lot of DNA testing. I believe he even worked with a geneticist from the University of Florida. I asked them this question, and they said yes. Highly unlikely, but possible. It's probably never happened before, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that this is something that did happen. I'm just saying you can't tell me that it didn't happen. We don't know until we test. I tested the dogs. I didn't say my Bulldogs were 100% American Bulldog according to those tests. And Bark and the geneticist said they're 100% Bulldog, American Bulldog. So anyways, thank y'all for watching. I know I'm to a lot of y'all, I'm probably just beating a dead horse, but I will put out the information that I feel like is needed, information that people may find useful. Until next time, thank y'all for watching.